Okay, it's January 10th, 2019. We're on to another session. This is session number 18 of Alien Contacts in the Life of Bob.
Okay. As I was starting to say with the ancients, when I've seen them in meditative state, they project an image to me sometimes of, I think it's their humor.
Yeah.
They'll be, instead of standing up vertically straight, they'll be standing up upside down vertically. Or if I ask a question and it's a yes answer, I'll get a check mark or something like that, you know. When I've seen their craft, and I'm pretty sure it's transdimensional, they probably wouldn't fully enter anyway, this dimension, because it might offset our gravity well here on Earth. But it's I often refer to it as a craft world. It's huge, composed of yellowish white crystals, semi-translucent, full of light. And inside it's even brighter yet when I project into their craft world. And they have some definite potential power to them. We haven't done as much contact with them recently as we have done in the past. At this time, though, I want to include another race called the Wingmakers.
Before you go on to them, let me just say one last thing about the ancients. We've worked with many different groups of beings, including, like we're talking about, non-corporeal, very astute beings. And the ancients are one of the few groups of beings that we work with that never let us down.
Right.
Okay? We've had a lot of, we've had, various different disagreements and, and
so many others, yeah.
Things happen with some of these groups and where Bob's actually had to, get stern with them.
Mm-hmm.
And or they've upset one or both of us. But I tell you, the ancients have always been very steadfast and willing to whatever they could do, and learn. And that's very important. Let me just say this too. A lot of these ancient beings and groups, whether they stem from this multiverse or outside this multiverse, a lot of them are very stubborn, and they live these lives that they're eternal. Things happen very slowly, and they don't like change. They literally do not like to change anything.
Yeah.
And they think that the way they've been doing things forever is no need to change. And I spoke about what our Creator has been doing with this creation. It's very magnanimous. He's taking things to a whole nother level, and it's going to ripple through all of creations everywhere outside of this multiverse. And I mean, if you have any depth of science at all, you'll know that just trying to comprehend the largesse that exists in our multiverse in itself. It's just it's you can't contemplate it. You just really can't, because there's virtually unlimited, not completely unlimited, but virtually unlimited dimensions, and time. Not time loops, you know what I'm saying? Time streams, whatever.
Yeah.
That exist. And So anyway, sometimes these guys, they don't, they think they're, the way they've been doing things is fine, and they don't need to change, and a few of these groups, I'll tell you this. Bob has actually said to us, listen, we don't appreciate looky-loos.
Words to that effect.
Yeah.
You're being nicer than I'm not.
Yeah. Either you help and send some, good energy and helpful ways in this direction, into these worlds and universe, or else leave. We don't need anyone, especially of your stature, hanging out, casting aspersions. And I know that the times he said that our Creator has been in full agreement. I could sense that. So carry on.
Yeah, there are times I've had to kind of put my spiritual foot down. I think part of what I'm here to do at this time is some tweaking, and that requires being able to let some of these evolved or advanced races know that they need to take a little more of a hands-on approach in a way that would be guiding and giving a good example, not taking over and doing stuff to us or for us. That's not. I won't let that happen. But helping us in any way they can to help us to help ourselves, and uplifting in beneficial ways. I know this is all very vague, isn't it? I want to shift now over to some other friends of ours. I mentioned them a few minutes ago, the Wingmakers.
Yeah.
I'm sure that some of you have probably either had contacts with them or have at least studied about them from YouTube or other sources as well. They are supposed to be the human race way from the future.
700 years into the future.
Yeah, and coming back to help make some corrections, which will change, I guess, their timeline for the better as well.
There's a website if you want to learn about them, wingmakers.com.
Yeah.
It's been around for about 20 years.
They established evidently a number of sites around the world.
7.
Yeah, and one of which is out west, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's around the Chaco Canyon area.
Yeah, and
it was found back in the late 70s. It was discovered and more or less kind of like taken over by the military.
There was a time shortly after I got here to Chicago that Paul and his wife Jan and myself, I would go out of body and go to that site, and there are chambers in that site which represent the codes of our DNA, the different levels of our DNA, from what I understand. And
well, let me preface it by saying this: those sites are time capsules that the Wingmaker group has left for us, to be found. And in these time capsules is all kinds of information. There's and it's multidimensional. It's artwork, it's music, it's mathematics, and it was left in various different formats.
mm-hmm.
Some was literally artwork, and you could look at it, and it's very symbolic, and it's three-dimensional, and you can find this stuff online. But as I understand it, the stuff in person was very three-dimensional. All right, so it's like a two-dimensional picture of any of this stuff, and there's music as well, and you can buy reproduced CDs of this music, and it's supposed to actually help your mind, like like you've heard now, classical music, increases serotonin and synapse reaction and things like that. It's very healthy for your brain. Well, this is like that on steroids, and
Healing and elevating.
basically some professor and his students ran across it, found the site, climbed down into it, and discovered it, and within a few weeks the military got wind of it,
Mhm.
and they cordoned the whole area off, put all kinds of various what do you call it, monitoring systems to keep people out, as well as psychically, okay? And that would stop most people, but because Bob's not most people, he was able to go there psychically, do out-of-body psychically, and get past their monitors, and they couldn't do a damn thing about it. And there was a company, let me just also say this real quick, there's a company known as the ACIO, and you can find the whole story online. On their site, the Dr. Neruda is one of the scientists from the ACIO that defected. That thought this information needs to get out to the world populations need to know this, and so he disseminated, helped to disseminate the information before he defected, and he's been living, God knows where ever since. And the information that they found, primarily the mother lode was on some discs that were like similar to CDs, but they had to create a machine from the ground up to decode this CD, because it was nothing like they'd ever had before. The CD was like fourth or fifth dimensional type of material, and the information on it, and was holographic. And the ACIO is this clearinghouse for all things scientific. They're out in the southwest desert, not too far from Southern California, and they were run by a South American genius named went by the name Octavio. He's been dead now, but he worked with a lot of the governments, mainly our government, in helping to break down any kind of alien technology, and they were the preeminent, well disclosed. I mean, almost nobody has heard of the ACIO unless you know about the Wingman material. That's how deep undercover they've remained, and his main thing was he knew about some beings called the Animus, and I don't want to get
No, we're not going to get into that.
get too deep, but he was concerned about that, and but before he passed away, that was more or less taken care of, and not completely entirely. If you read the story, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's a fascinating great read, and you can download it on your computer. Last time I checked, so. But Bob went to these sites, and in the course of about 6 months, if you remember,
Mhm.
Bob.
Yep.
Every few days we'd do an out of body and spend several sessions on
Oh,
each
yeah.
one of these chambers, and I think there was 20. Was it 23 chambers or 24?
I think it's 24.
And they were relating to the various genetic.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, what?
DNA.
The DNA, yeah, it tied into the
Patterns.
DNA. The terminology escapes me right now, but the DNA of the new human, and so each chamber was different, and it was really interesting because once Bob got past the fences, the military defenses, he'd run into a holographic Indian, right? You want to?
Well, I wouldn't say holographic. I would say
Well, he wasn't real.
no, but he was spiritual, like a spiritual guide or guard for the place.
But was it like a recorded message?
No, I don't think so. No.
Oh, so he was like he was there in real time. You think?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't remember it that way. Okay.
It was really neat because we'd have all three of us here, and Jan had some pretty good insights into some of the stuff that I was seeing, and
Yeah.
trying
lot
to
of great
understand the
information.
different types of everything from paintings that I was seeing to just some of the artifacts that were still in some of those chambers, and I was surprised they were still there.
Yeah.
But that's that's about all I have to say on it, other than the fact that the Wingmakers view the multiverse as though it were musical tones, and they talk about plucking strings or correcting musical notes or tones, even from a spiritual standpoint, and I found that to be very interesting. I liked it a lot. The next types of beings that we're going to be talking about, not that much this evening, but will be reptilians. And I know they've got a bad rap. They brought it to themselves.
You might want to
What?
save a whole session for them. We only got 4 minutes left.
I do. I'm just saying that probably on our next session that's what I'm going to get into.
Okay.
I do want to say there are different factions of them. Some of them are still hell-bent for their own dark agendas, and a lot of them, though, have really changed for the better and want to see a better future for themselves, and to have that, they've got to help make a better future for others, too.
And I could say that about the Greys. We probably should say that about the Greys. We haven't
No.
Run across any good Greys per se. They all that we've run across have even when they say they want to change or be different, or they are different, whatever.
They're using that.
We end up finding that they're full of shit and they're deceitful as all get out. But we do believe, we've heard at least from different peoples out there, that there are some gray races that are in fact they keep to themselves and are peaceable and are decent. We haven't run into it yet. And there's a lot of different variations of them.
To quote a man who's, I think, passed on since, but he used to be in the CIA and spy work, Bill Cooper, he says that the Greys, they lie like a rug. And I think that's a good way to put it. They tell you what you want to hear as long as they can get what they want from you. So, enough about them. I think tomorrow we'll probably do another one or more of these, and it'll be a good bit about reptilians, and you'll find out they're definitely not all bad. There's some really good ones out there. Enough said for now.